welcome to a very special episode of Hook Cook's Continental Breakfast, the improvised world-building podcast guaranteed to feed a hunger you didn't know you had. I be Mitch the Monster Chef.
Yar! I'm Vinny. Hey, I'm the Saucy Spicerer. You all know me, and I'm back.
My name is Dishbot, but tonight I will play the role of Jack.
That's right. Welcome to our show where we are lovingly handcrafting a continent one country at a time. Join us here in the kitchen as we take a random prompt, add a few secret ingredients, and turn it alchemy-like into a country ready for you, that's right, you, to throw headfirst into your tabletop game, poem, or blockbuster MCU Phase 18 movie. Now, eagle-eared listeners among you may have noticed that our larder critter Connor is not with us. We've actually scrounged our podcasting pennies to send him in the new Hook Cook's newscopter to see what things are like on the ground of our recently discovered continent. And I sure hope we hear back from him soon, because some of these places have been hella dangerous. But fear not, dear listener, as we've tapped our sauciest spicerer to fill his pretty toque. So, without further ado, chefs, BFFs, let's get cooking. Vignonero, what is the prompt?
The prompt this evening is Colossal Ghosts.
Woo!
It's like big ghost noise.
The bigger something is, the spookier it is.
Yes, and the better the busting feels, I found.
Right, okay. What?
Busting makes you feel good,
Yeah.
and ghost busting is specifically what I'm talking about there.
Hey,
The bigger the ghost, the better the bust.
Okay.
Hey, future MIDI, could you just cut this whole busting segment out?
Hey, future MIDI, can you please save us
Present
from the
MIDI
busting
says no.
segment? All right.
On that note, perhaps.
Should we dive into some best before yesterday's, some really bad thoughts?
Straight off the back of that busting, I got a real juicy one for
All
you.
right, bust it
Okay.
upon us, my friend.
When you got a thing, and it's really big, who you gonna call? Huge Ghostbusters. Yeah, my thing was like giant Bill Murray,
My thing is huge Ghostbusters.
massive Dan Akroyd, and there's a Mondo Slimer
All
out
right, sharks.
terrorizing.
Imagine if we had Ghostbusters, but big. I mean, $100 million.
Just massive. Ghostbusters 4, Ghostbusters in the small city.
I mean, this is just classic what I was saying before. I feel like my idea has been stolen here.
Okay,
Yeah.
you were also going to do a big...
Oh, no, my best before yesterday is fine. It's just that the bustin' makes you feel good thing is...
You thought that you owned and copyrighted.
I'm pretty sure I own and have copyrighted
Busting
huge
makes you feel good.
Ghostbusters.
Right, okay.
And
No,
you, Vinny, will be hearing from my many lawyers.
I think that my steez was actually stifled sort of as my psychic airwaves were projected and you picked up on them and stole them for your intro. I feel
That's
like
right.
it's the other way
It's
around.
what is it? Predictive programming. You've sent that to me to prepare humanity for your idea.
Exactly.
Great
Jack,
stuff.
what about yourself? You got anything sort
I
of
do.
going off in the corners of the cupboard there?
I got something pretty nasty to show you guys. The ghost of getting Colossal is a character from the first draft of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, who shows Scrooge that if he spent less time obsessing over money and more time stacking on muscle, he wouldn't have to worry about dying alone because he could tombstone pile driver the Grim Reaper and live forever.
Man,
Oh,
what
wow.
a beautiful story.
Wow, nice. I
Sort
love
of undercuts the rest of the messages, but
But also
You know-
uppercuts the two.
also
the reader.
uppercuts
Yeah.
the Grim Reaper.
definitely.
Which is pretty
I love
important.
this. I love this Sims-esque life where the death just walks up to you and you can beat him in a competition of
Yeah,
your
if you
choice.
can-
But your competition is no rules. WWE
Yeah.
freestyle wrestling.
He'd get in a cage
Yeah.
match with the Grim Reaper and win.
Everyone always chooses a fiddle competition or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, he's bony. He's very thin. You
Yeah.
could
Mine was
punch
a
him.
bomb disarming competition, but it didn't matter if I lost, so it was fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you're still here. So
You're still here, so you are immortal.
Yep.
Very good. Well,
All right,
Mitch,
Mitty,
what do
bring
you,
us
what do
home,
you
man.
got?
all right, mine's a little bit of a journey. So just join with me in this. He cackles, mad with power, unstoppering the dusty flask he'd purchased from the strange bazaar. With a colossal ghost to do my bidding, I'll be unstoppable, he roars at the sky, manic with glee. He swishes the flask clockwise thrice and back again, and then tips it out, ready to control the monstrous power within. Instead, a teaspoon of shimmering liquid spills onto the cracked ground. Aghast, he looks down in dismay, then back at the vial. Furiously, he rubs at the dust on the label. His lips work soundlessly, but a lip reader nearby conveniently translates for narrative purposes. Sample serum for treatment of haunted bowels. Ask your spiritualist if colloidal ghosts are right for you.
Colloidal ghosts, right?
Colloidal
I found the
ghosts.
connection. Okay, right. So there's like what 1/1,000,000th of a ghost in each vial.
Yeah,
Wow, someone's really done some ghost division there. And,
that's it. Yeah, this poor guy.
Micro ghosting
Sort of
It's
atomic
apparently can be
level
quite good for you.
souls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
right.
it's
Yeah, you
special.
just crush them up and distribute them amongst the masses.
Yeah.
Put them in the drinking water, actually.
It's good for everyone.
Yeah.
Good for all. Well, with that, should we move on over to our meat and potatoes? Let's start diving into the details of this week's country. We've each come up with a pre-prepared segment covering one of three themes: people, place, and environment. We'll sample each submission on our delicate palates and then void our mouths into a collective spittoon, which will form the basis of this little corner of the continent we'll be exploring tonight.
Oh no!
Wow.
Vinny, do you want to kick us off by showing us your meat and potatoes?
Gladly, my friends, gladly. Collective voices echo from within the socket, reverberating down to passages deeper within. Glowing glyphs carved straight into the bone floor illuminate the matted furs, hair, and skin of the druids, attuning their essence to their environment. The elders have been contributing their voices to the chorus for as long as I've been alive. The constant rattling of charred bones freshly hunted, an application of ochre freshly harvested, fills the chamber with an ashy earthiness. I have adapted to this place, sensing when the slightest phrase of incantation has been uttered wrong, or when there's too much sage or nightbane burning, or not enough blood. Mystics lead the chant, which in generations past started very slowly, delicately and wearily, but is building over lifetime and lifetime to ecstatic cacophony, like an eye slowly opening over centuries. This ritual is of great importance to the tribe, and to all others who lived here upon the plateau. Darkness is coming, they say, and the ground, the land upon which we stand, is our defense. It provides for us, and we gladly return our energy back to it. It will take the essence, the spirits and souls of many, many druids to awaken what lies beneath. Beneath the desiccated skin, the bone and calcified flesh, down to its very spirit. And I am ready to give my breath.
Ooh, okay. And
Spooky.
That's my
ghost.
place. It's pretty spooky. It's a bit.
So
Yeah.
you're doing the place. That's the
So yeah, it's
Spooky,
like
spooky
a
place.
It's a big cavern, bone and flesh and stuff. The idea sort of is that they're inside the eye socket of like a big dead fellow, because we all know that for colossal ghosts, we need colossal things.
Yeah.
Well, some of the things that you said really resonated. How the druids have to give a lot to the earth, to the ground, in order to awaken that power. That sounded really cool.
Yeah, and the idea is kind of like they're performing this ritual that's like very, very slowly bringing this ghost forth. for
Right. There's
whatever-
sort of necromancy of this giant
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
it's taking lots of time because it's so dang big.
It's so huge. You gotta,
Yeah,
the
okay.
spells take like years to cast. Yeah, and then I sort of mentioned that there was like a darkness coming, but I didn't, it could be whatever. Could
Well,
be
we
your
might
kind of
flesh
dark-
that out on the way.
Yeah,
Let's figure out what kind of darkness might be
There
coming.
could be a little
Might be
darkness.
some darkness coming.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind if I take it away, because I've always wanted to do this. Jack, would you please reveal to us your meat and potatoes?
Sure thing, buddy. I was covering environment this week, so here we go. On first inspection, the Deadlands would appear to be poorly named. The land is lush, green, vibrant, a seemingly tropic jungle nestled within a dark, foreboding forest. Then the smell hits. The air is awash with the fetid stink of decay. Each step brings the crunch of small animal bones overfoot, and the ground is soft, colored a dark, sinister red. Watching the local fauna, they all appear to be close to death. Birds drop from the sky to the jungle floor, and the air is full of the keening cry of animals drawing their last breath. As you travel deeper through the dense swaying trees, the noise dies out and is replaced by an ominous, silent calm. Then you hear it. A pop of displaced air, the crack of branches and trees, and a gigantic pearlescent paw lands in the undergrowth, connected to the vast, shaggy body of a colossal beast. It howls and pulses brightly, and the floor beneath you rumbles, dark, necrotic energy flowing from the soil into this otherworldly being. It grows, feeding on the energy, summoning more of the dead and dying from nearby lands to supplement its spirit. It is hungry, ceaselessly hungry, growing larger and larger, and the Deadlands grow with it.
Whoa. That is very creepy, my guy.
Yeah.
Great work.
Yeah, you guys are on a little wavelength there of spooky words.
Big things,
Yeah.
Colossal
being-
ghosts.
Weird.
dying and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like just this weird, eerie, like, place that you've created. There's like constantly, like, the constant sounds of things dying is just one of the creepiest things.
Yeah.
I
It'll be
think
fun
I've
to put
ever
music
heard.
to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun to find, ambient, spooky Halloween soundtrack to number 14.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, number 14.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're
Well,
really-
without further ado, Mitch, will you reveal to us your meat and potatoes?
I gladly will. And my focus this episode is the people of this fair land. The land below is steeped in cloying, clotting fog, dense and thick as wool. To breathe it in is to become one of them. Give the fog an inch and it will take everything. It floods your lungs and expands, fills the whole body, breaks and stretches. When we gave my grandmother to the fog, the sounds she made will stay with me forever. But it is our way. Now she is still with us, a part of the fog, but also our way through it, our protection. She doesn't speak anymore, her story's all passed on, but her eyes, now bigger than my head, still glisten with that familiar love when I swing close enough to look. She will give us shelter, transport, freedom to move and barter with other riders. She was strong in life, so she should carry us for a good long while before the fog burns her away from within. Then it will be her younger brother's turn, my grunkle, oldest and wisest, for the younger folks who fall or are taken turn out wrong. Their minds crack and snarl, they grow and burn too fast, and their rage sings across the land in tortured howls. They are the worst of the challenges we face. Each family does their best to take responsibility, like we had to with my cousin after he slipped his harness. Recently, though, a new challenge arises. Mapping in a land of fog is nigh impossible. So it took until the stars shone true for us to realize that Grandma had been leading us astray. And now when we look into the distance, we see more and more colossal ghosts, families all. We are being drawn together, and I have no idea whether it is the remnants of our protective elders doing it, or the fog itself. So what I sort of... it's Coco meets Shadow of the Colossus.
Meets Stephen King's The Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coco being
the grandmother sort of figure.
Pixar movie?
Yeah. The oldest of the family, they give to the fog. It stretches and grows them to huge proportions, and then the family sort of ride them through the fog like a ship almost. Like a
Because it's
giant.
so big that they're
So
poking
big.
through the top of it?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
and so you can just
Okay.
like as they're sort of being brought together, you can see these other giants with like harnesses
cool.
and like like shelters built on the shoulders and stuff. And these people are all sort of. I kept trying to find a way to put Ghost Rider into the thing, but every time I said it, I was like, no, that's not the vibe.
Okay, but these are sort of three fairly disparate things.
Yeah, but I feel like I can see like a timeline between them, because it's like this fog feels like maybe a darkness that like this druid spell could be summoning, over a long time.
I when I was writing mine, I definitely wasn't trying to imagine like people in the present doing this. Like this could have been an event that occurred in the past. Yeah.
This could be what created my creature, right? Your summoning thing, like this thing that they're like inside the head of could be
a beast.
The
monster,
and then monster. Like I suppose maybe there's like tweaks on mine to get to yours in the present, Mitch, in that this idea of the Deadlands being this like lush jungle, maybe it's instead fog, like that's more what's happening, like coming out of this singular giant creature, and now it's drawing the other people to it.
Or maybe when that great beast dies and like the fog it comes out of it. But
that's cool. I like that because it leaves us room for like what is drawing people in. Right? So there's like what we've got essentially is this like deep, very dark land. In the beginning, all these cultists sort of doing dark magic.
Druids.
Yes, right.
Definitely
not
druids.
A cult. No, they needed a lot of blood, but they definitely took it willingly.
Yes,
and it's only organic.
Yeah.
And I suppose that there's like some history here that we haven't touched on, in that there are gigantic, colossal remains of beings from a time long lost to history, right? But one of them gets sort of summoned and they lose control of it, and it starts like spreading this sort of malaise across the land. It's like drawing dying things towards it and sucking their energy.
Yeah, but also like this zone where there are creatures that are constantly on the edge of death but incapable of like dying.
That's like interesting, like an undying kind of thing, and maybe the energy's in that.
Feeds into how the fog affects the people in this sort of in my situation, where it does sort of in some ways keep them in like a half-life state. And, well, let's pivot to that then. Like that's cool. So it then dies and releases all this like stored up half-life energy across the world.
Effluent, right? Like just like nasty gas smoke.
Yeah. Ectoplasm, but is smoke now.
Ectofogum.
It busts. You might say.
Yeah, but it does not feel good this time.
It don't feel good. And now we have this world where people are traveling around on the grandmas, and that's pretty cool. Should we head on over to the spice rack?
I think
we should give it a shot.
All right. Let's run over to the spice rack and add a little pepper to our pie.
Don't mind if I do.
On the spice rack, we'll select a herb, which will act as our inciting event. This is a pivotal moment within our country's history, which will form the basis of our conversation. And then we'll also pick out a couple of spices, which are smaller scale scenario cards, which add a bit of flavor to the moment in time we'll be exploring. Our inciting event this week is a portal to hell opens.
Okay.
Wow, what an exciting event. Jeez.
Bit of an exciting event, this one. It definitely plays within the themes, which is nice, right? We're not going to like space or whatever.
No.
It feels to me like what is drawing the
ghosts,
colossal ghosts, right?
Yeah. There's like a dozen ghosts just having a standoff in a big circle, and then this great rip-roaring portal just busts open in the middle of it, and it feels
pretty
good.
Maybe the portal can be tied back to like something from me and Vinny's earlier stuff. Like maybe it's the giant creature coming through again and trying to reclaim all of its energy, or it's like the druids, they're cultists, who are like, they've been like sentenced to an eternity in hell and they're busting their way out or something like that. Like,
Yeah. How about the end goal always was the portal, and the creature was just the median
It was
in
a
which
means
to
to an
collect
end.
the energy
Yeah, I like
to
that.
die, to pull everything in to create the portal. So
Yeah, and so you have the druids have stuck around all this time, right? Like they've been passing on their history, and so like they're riding one of the ghosts,
or they come out of the portal to hell like, yeah, motherfuckers, we released ourselves.
We got out. We knew it'd be down there, but I made sure that it was gonna be in my bathroom. Yeah. All right. I'd like that actually. If you're like in a demonic cult,
Yeah.
like raising bodies, and you're like, shit, one day I'm gonna go to hell. Like,
I gotta make sure there's a back door
sucks.
for me.
I better make sure there's a back door. So, like,
That is future-proofing damnation.
Your cult
fantastic.
it's really fucking funny.
Your cult indoctrination involves you going like, oh fuck, hell is real. Oh fuck, that dude I killed before is definitely means I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
Like,
That's really good. I love that.
That's
Okay.
cool.
So let's jump into our first scenario then. That is, therefore, a new food source is discovered. So we've got a portal to hell opens, and therefore a new food source is discovered. Challenging combination.
It really feels like every person is either escaping from hell or about to suddenly die.
It'd be eaten, I think, just so the druids can get out.
I mean, I think we have to think about who the food source is for.
Yeah.
Is it for the ghost riders, or the ghosts, or the druids, or the demons?
It could be like the druids have gone to hell and are now in some way demonic. And so they feed upon all this misty ghost energy, and they come back. Or it's like that, like the portal is just open. The druids like jump through and fucking book it, and then more demons come through.
The druids come out, and all they want to do is just huff this nasty gas juice.
Yeah, like it's nice.
Why do they want to?
Why do they want to huff it?
Yeah,
That's a great question.
Was this their long-term plan?
Well, I guess something that we haven't been scratching upon is this like undeath thing, right? Within the fog. So maybe the druids collapse through the portal, right? And they come back to Earth as they died. So they're like on the edge of death, and then they like start sucking it in, and they become young again.
Okay, so that sort of implies that like this effluvia, this black stuff, this comes out when something dies, and they suck it up. So they're creating this like eternal youth that's focused off of mass death.
Yeah, they're creating a cycle of like, I know I'm gonna die and go to hell. And so I'm creating myself a backdoor to get out. And I know when I get out, I'm going to be again put into my form as I was dying. And so I will need some sort of mechanism to like ensure I return to youth.
See, I feel like this doesn't quite line up with like their end goal. The druids' whole thing, ritual they were performing for centuries, was a way out of hell. It feels more like the portal opening was the thing that they were after, and they stumble out of the portal kind of as a side effect.
Sure.
But what they were actually intending to do, I think, needs to be related to this portal.
Maybe the druids are the food source for the fog, like, and it takes over them.
Okay.
And turns them into colossal giant power.
And then they start
Why
wrestling.
would they want to do the whole process?
I don't think they would have intended that. I like the idea that they sort of made a plan that it was like, oh, we're going to be weak as hell when we get out of hell, so we'll need some energy there. But it's like they've meddled with dark and uncontrollable powers, and this fog. Like,
it's not very satisfying. If it's just like, and they got it wrong, and so the fog gets them.
I feel like we've also set up that the effluvia is vital to the portal opening, right? So the effluvia is a piece of the puzzle and wouldn't be like discounted after the. after their grand.
Yeah, I think yes, that's where we landed. Is like all this fog is like the thing that starts the portal process.
Mm.
Maybe the portal doesn't close after them, and so they unintentionally let demons into this world, and it's like extremely attractive to them because of all of this kind of necrotic essence.
Yeah.
And so you have a situation where a portal to hell has opened and demons are streaming in and like feeding on all the essence, feeding on all the people, feeding on the cultists.
Classic
Ooh.
Diablo prompt.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
a
yes.
Diablo situation,
That's-
right?
I mean, Diablo 1 is forming right before my very eyes.
yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right. I have an interesting idea. I
Sure.
do love the giant hulking bestial demons coming out of the portal, right, and beginning to just huff in this effluvia like it's cocaine. They're just absolutely loving it, and then temporarily, at least, it clears, and people can live in the area. On the ground. You can exist. These beasts are terrible and chaotic, and you don't want to meet them. But if you're within like 5Ks of one, you can survive on the ground. And when the fog starts creeping back in, it's moving further away. So you got to like keep up with the
Fortnite style.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
That's really cool, man. I really like that. Like there's these big giant things and they're not even really cognizant of people. Like they're huge.
Yeah.
Right? Things on the ground are nothing to them. They're just walking through this mist and inhaling it like whales almost. Like,
yeah. Except, they would squash a bug if you were in front of it.
For sure. Like, it's not like they're like demonic in a way of like, I want to break man's back or whatever. Like,
yeah. They're not hungry for man
seeking out punishment or anything like that. They're just there to feed on all this like these like eons of dark energy.
So I think just as like a little side note, I really liked the idea of the cultists coming back like sort of semi-demonic as well. So the cultists could also be like not near the giant beasts because there's no effluvia there. They exist inside of the smoke, like between all of the circles.
What if the cultists come back riding these giant whales and like their whole thing is like they've like set up on these things, they've steered them to where they know the thing is, and like these things take in all this energy and output all the like alchemic material stuff on its back. And so they've set up like
that's
alchemy
very cool
on the back of these things.
Yes, so this image that you've set up is this vaguely wood forest land beneath where it is not covered by fog. Giant hell whale floating in the sky, sucking up all of the fog, and on its back is like a city of alchemists.
Yeah.
And now they can be called a cult.
Gases and stuff that are bubbling up, and they're like, putting it in their cauldrons and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so hundreds of years ago when druids were committing their entire lives to the ritual for what they're about to do, this was their vision. This is their
they had like, I don't know, scried into hell and seen one of these things, and they're like, fucking get me on that. That's got all the stuff that I want. Like, let's figure out the plan to get there.
What I'm seeing now, what I'm imagining and loving is this potential for like people riding ghost giants trying to fight cultists riding demon whales.
Kaiju battles. No, it's Pacific Rim style. There's one.
It is Pacific Rim style, but with grandma.
Grandma.
Man, grandma don't handle so hot since she broke her arms.
Oh, poor grandma.
That's
right. She's been dead for ages.
Man, that's very, very cool. Well, should we move on to our next scenario?
Yeah, let's throw another scenario.
Yeah, if we got to squeeze another one in here, it's going to be wild.
Okay, well, here we go. A hero is crowned. So portal to hell opens. We have found a new food source, and a hero is crowned. Perhaps this is coming back to our kaiju battles that we just touched on before. Like these Mistwalker folk, they find a sort of hero that will let them I don't know why they would want to fight back, right? Because these things suck up the fog, which is such a
and the people,
detriment to them.
we kind of decided that the people were getting down from the giants and trying to
yeah,
survive
and
inside
living
of-
and running around Fortnite style.
Maybe it's the giants that are fighting because they are like controlled by the fog, which does not want to be swallowed up. And so the
Okay.
people are sort of like, well, that's grandma. We're stuck on her and we could go down, but like that's grandma.
Sort of feels like when the fog goes away, that's logically the point where you return to people are dead when they're dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the fog's already in them, it just seems like then sort of the demonic cultists come through and everything about the land sort of is better, I guess, with it, as long as you're within that circle.
within that circle.
I like the idea of like the nomadic people following these monsters around, and I like, you know, they've got this, like, time passes and they have this culture where they're now moving constantly underneath
With
these gigantic
these
beasts.
Yeah. What I think is probably worth considering is that the cultists are doing all this alchemy for a reason, and I think it has to be bad.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
for a bad
okay.
reason.
Maybe they're making more fog, right?
They're expanding outside of the
Like
borders. of their country.
there's X amount of fog there already, and they've got to keep expanding it.
Yeah,
They're
it kind
multiplying
of sounds like then the reason for everything, like you could have just stopped at step 2 instead of going to like, which was like a monster that made fog, instead of like then it dies, then it opens the portal, then the
so it
whales
opens
come
the
out, and then we're
portal,
just
the
gonna keep
whales
making
come
more
out,
fog,
which
like-
give them access to like all these resources, which means that they can travel to new lands and create the fog and open a portal and send out more whales and can travel to
Ooh,
new lands
yeah.
and create the fog and open a portal. Like it's a multiplying effect.
Sort of our first like actively like warlike country.
Yeah,
like these
yeah, for
people will be
sure.
like brushing up against the the
Mhm.
Holy Republic of Thum, perhaps. So,
And so in that, right, a hero is crowned. Is
yeah.
crowned specifically. I didn't realize that. So who is this hero? Is this hero one of these like mist-walking folk? I think that's probably the neatest.
Yeah, that is the most hero-like. I was sort of toying with the idea of making the hero one of the cultists and just viewing the whole story from the perspective of the bad guys.
Yeah,
But
it's the dude whose like idea it was.
yeah,
at
no,
this
yeah,
time.
it's the
I
first
did
cultist.
it!
Yeah! He's like fucking shotgunning a beer as he runs this whale out of hell.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, look, I guess we can, in the end, leave that up to the listener, right? I think the hero can be this like totally rad cultist bro, or it could be, you know, one of these mist walking folk following these giant flying whales around, and they realize that the intention of the alchemists is to spread this disease across the continent, and so they rise up with their grandma and take on the demonic whales.
Well, you know what? If we've got any game masters listening who want to plop this into their campaign, the hero could be one of your players.
Very true. Yeah.
Or it could be a larder critter arriving in a Hooks branded helicopter.
Okay, that too. Apparently,
That also could be what it is.
should we slap a name? I think on this country. I think we've got a pretty good idea of where we sit
Yeah.
with things. What do we think for a name?
Fog City.
Bustopia.
You said Deadland?
The Deadlands. Yeah, I did say
Yeah.
that.
I mean, there's something quite simple but succinct in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I
well,
don't hate, but
what
if
is
you,
the name of a place than what their neighbors would probably call it? And if you're looking at this dead, mist-covered place, like
You probably call it the Deadlands.
It feels
It's a little bit.
It's just simple.
You
It's
know,
just
it's simple,
yeah,
which isn't bad. Just something a little bit more.
Foggy Bottom.
Not that. I wanted less of that.
Foggy Top.
Oh, okay. Now we're speaking.
Ooh,
about
yeah.
fog in a hole.
Fog.
Fog on a log.
Effluvia.
The dying lands.
Yeah.
Dying Lands.
The
Very nice.
Dying
Sounds like a Monster Hunter
Lands.
map.
The Dying Lands sounds too nice. It's the dark, scary, spooky place. Halloween episode in February.
Okay, is this name from people outside looking in because all they see is fog? But if you're inside, though, you now have a clean place to live underneath one of these sky whales.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe it's limpet, or what are those animals that affix themselves to whales?
Deadfall.
Oh man! If one of those,
a deadfall is like what happens when a whale dies and it drops to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I really like Deadfall. I think that's awesome because it works as what you would describe it within the country and also what you describe it outside of it, right? Like the Deadfall is this like misty kind of like it's almost like rain that spreads across the lands, and then like things can't really die.
Yep.
In it,
spooky.
And occasionally you see a giant demon whale floating.
Yeah, fucking hustle to that
and
man.
And a guy shotgunning beer on the top wearing a big, like, fat boy crown.
I've been crowned!
I'm the wizard! My staff is longest.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. Well, Deadfall is the name of this little country that we've landed on tonight. Ever expanding Deadfall. But unfortunately, that means we need to leave you. And so it's time for our thank yous. Big thank you to Holizna for our opening theme. And an equally big thank you to Avery Alder, who created The Quiet Year, which we've used as the basis for the world-building game we play each and every week.
Yeah, and a thank you of a slightly different size. I won't say whether it's bigger or smaller, to you, our dear listener, for listening. If you enjoyed this meal, don't forget to tip your servers and leave a rating in the comment section of your favorite podcasting app.
Please do. I've been Dishbot, and tonight I played the role of Jack.
Hey, I'm Vinny, Saucy Spicer, coming at you.
And I be Mitch the Monster Chef. Thank you so much for listening, boys. Are we happy?
Yes,
Chef. The first one to learn how to Pacific Rim his grandma is like, oh man, I'm sorry for saying the words rim his grandma.